Hi, I'm Dr. Popular. I'm gonna talk to you about yo-yos. Oh my!
Hey y'all, welcome to PopCast, a crowd-sponsored yo-yo show. Huge shout out to my sponsors on patreon.com/DocPop. That's Greg Knowles, who's been a longtime sponsor of the show, big fan, and everyone else who helps makes the show possible. I really appreciate your help. This episode, I am going to talk about freehand responsive yo-yoing, which I covered in an episode a couple months ago with Kyle Nations. I've come a long way since then, and I wanted to share with you some of my favorite go-to tricks for freehand responsive. Now that I'm really kind of getting used to the style, it's a lot of fun. I think you're going to like these tricks. Before we get started, I just got back from ORD camp. That's ORD camp in Chicago. If you remember, last year I went to ORD camp and hung out with Steve Brown. We shot a late night video at like 3 or 4 a.m. I hung out with Steve again this year, but unfortunately we didn't get a chance to film a video together. I do hope maybe Steve and I can chat via Skype sometime and catch up for a future episode. But I did get to hang out with a lot of other interesting people. ORD Camp is an invite-only unconference, which means that, God, that sounds really silly, but it's an unconference, which means that there's no proposed talks. Everyone goes maybe with an idea for something they want to do. They write their ideas on Post-it notes, put it up on a wall, and it turns into a conference. Now, you might have science fiction writers, you might have venture capitalists, musicians, all sorts of people doing different talks. This year I learned Tuvan throat singing and how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Side note, I have not learned them. I got started with both of those, and that is going to be a lifelong journey, I think, for both of those. But, lots of weird topics and great, cool people. There's been more and more astronauts coming to ORD camp each year. And this year, an astronaut named Don Pettit came for the first time. Now, Don is an awesome guy. Don, you might know, as a yo-yoer, you might know because Don brought a yo-yo into the space station and did a video about zero-G yo-yo tricks. It's a really cool video. Every trick he did in space, basically he made up because no one else had done it before him. So he get to name all these cool tricks. And it's extra cool because I feel like yo-yoing and space have had kind of like, there's a bunch of yo-yo tricks named after, space stuff. There's lunar landing, there's shoot the moon, there's around the world. I bet there's more. Rocket in the pocket. There's a bunch of yo-yo tricks that are space adjacent. So it's cool to see an astronaut bring a yo-yo into space. I got a chance to meet Don. Specifically, I got there and someone said, "Don Pettit's looking for you, Doc." And I'm like, "The astronaut? Is looking for this guy, for me?" So Don and I hung out. He's watched the show, and he wanted to talk about yo-yoing, bind returns, all sorts of stuff like that. We chatted about yo-yos. He showed me some of his Tom Kuhn yo-yos that he's brought to space. He's a really awesome guy. And at some point I said, "So Don, what tricks are you working on now?" And he said, "Well, I've been really working on the lunar landing." And I'm like, "Oh, lunar landing. Like that's a, shoot the moon. That you catch into a stall. Right now, I'm really into stalls and responsive yo-yos and the things you can do from a stall. Well, I bet I could give you a lot of great advice on the lunar landing. I bet I could really help you out." And we had this awkward 2-minute conversation, Don and I, where at some point I realized he wasn't talking about the yo-yo trick. He was talking about he was too busy working on landing on the moon, or getting a landing on the moon, not him personally, but he was too busy working on the lunar landing to yo-yo, and he was not working on a yo-yo trick called the lunar landing. So that was awkward. I just was like, I wish I had one of those Men in Black pins and just like wipe out 2 minutes of conversation of me like, "Oh, landing on the moon, I can help you with that. Yeah, I'm just a yo-yoer, but I could help you out with that." That was awkward. Great year at ORD camp though. God, I love that event. All right, let's talk about some yo-yo tricks. Hey, so today I'm going to talk about a couple of my favorite freehand responsive tricks. I know we already did a freehand responsive video a couple months ago. It's still one of my favorites. It's the one where I hang out with Kyle Nations talking about kind of the early steps of, the basics of freehand responsive. Today I'm going to show you just a few more tricks I found since then that have become my go-to tricks with freehand responsive. The first one is called the oxygen flip. So the oxygen flip is sort of like a miniature aerial. It's really cool because not only does it look really nice when you do that little pop, it also opens up a lot of other possibilities, which we'll get into in a second. So the fundamental of the oxygen flip is just first off, just catching the yo-yo wrong. This is something that took a little getting used to for me, but catching the yo-yo from a breakaway with your thumb and your fingers on the sides of the yo-yo, ready to flip the yo-yo, ready to do this. So the string is wrapped up, I'm holding here, and the string is wrapped on this side. For whatever reason, this felt like I was relearning how to catch the yo-yo, but once you get used to that catch, where you can do that pop, breakaway, catch, now you can cross your arms, throw, and catch. And one of the cool things about that throw, I've noticed that no matter how hard you throw it, it tends to kind of stall out. It doesn't do like a full, it's actually, I think, impossible to do a full 360 throw. As soon as it goes out, it wants to kind of just stop and unwind, which gives you lots of timing no matter how hard you throw to catch. So you can hold the yo-yo from thumb and pointer finger, and then I'm going to let go of my pinky, throw, and of course I'm just going to throw and let go of the yo-yo. And then you catch, like the easiest thing to do next is just to catch it with your left hand and catch a stall. Now, if you want, you can catch that one wrong, or, for the oxygen, and throw there. So you can just kind of do this back and forth if you want. So I really like to exaggerate that arm cross when I do this. If you're doing it with both hands, you can do it here and then here. Now, another fun thing that the oxygen release can set you up for is pull starts, which pull starts are life, especially with a responsive yo-yo. So it's that same oxygen catch. You're going to pop and just catch it in your other hand without letting go of the yo-yo. Now I'm loosely holding on to the yo-yo with my thumb and pointer finger, and I'm just going to pull to the right and let it spin out. And I catch it in a left-handed trapeze. Another oxygen pull start that I think looks really cool starts with the same catch, thumb and pointer finger. I'm going to go over, but this time I'm going to cross with my non-yo-yo hand under the yo-yo hand. I'm going to pull up and back down. So I think it went off camera there, but when it goes up, it's still spinning. So here, catch under, pull up. I go up and down, and the yo-yo's wound now, and I just place it on a trapeze stall. There we go. Now let's talk about the Renegade Bounce. There we go. So this is fundamentally the stall that looks like this. I change the hand that the counterweight is in. So I'm going to transfer the counterweight to my left hand from a breakaway. And then I'm going to catch in kind of a brother throw, but it's going to be a brother stall. So that you've got thumb, pointer finger, and a little stall. And that's from a right-handed breakaway. Now what I'm going to do is pinch and flip this counterweight to the other side. And then at the same time, I'm going to, or once it lands here, I'm going to do two things. I'm going to pull my hands apart, which is going to fly the yo-yo counterweight around, plus it's going to take the yo-yo off the string. So it goes like this. So transfer, stall, catch, and then just pull your hands apart. And when I catch this trapeze, if you're catching a trapeze just from there, it's going to be inverted. Your pointer finger is going to be going towards you. You can take your finger out real quick and try to get it in on the other side, or you can just leave your finger in. Let's do that. There it goes. Now, of course, this move can be done with either hand, so you can do it going the other stall. Another move you can do from that same setup where you're stalled in a 1.5, kind of like this with your thumb and the yo-yo on the same side. You can pinch, let go, and do a pullover. So you've got a couple options there. Bam. All right, let's talk about stop and goes, because I think stop and goes go hand in hand with modern responsive freehand. Here's one of my favorites. Rad. What should I call that? All right, let's call that the quick stop and go. So the quick stop and go is a trapeze mount, and you are going to let the yo-yo swing. Well, first you're going to do just one little roll. So roll, and then let the yo-yo swing to your side and pull it towards your hand. So the yo-yo is just right over here on the trapeze, almost like it's doing a Lindy loop. And I'm just going to give it a quick tug. And now I've got a stop and go in my hand. I'm going to let go of the counterweight and flip it around. That sets you up. Now you just pull your hands apart and you are spinning again. So quick flip, catch, toss, pull. Once again, right when the yo-yo is right there, palm up, catch, flip, pull. Once you get that pull going, you're basically in this position, almost just like a little power throw. And what you're going to do is pull the yo-yo up towards your hand, let go of the counterweight at the same time, and catch. It's going to mount kind of like on a sideways trapeze, like a wrong trapeze. But if you let the weight continue, it'll actually turn the yo-yo this way. That's the coolest part of the trick, I think. There we go. So the final move is going to be the double or nothing pop, and it looks like this. That's such fun. So that is a double or nothing stall. When I do that stall, I let the counterweight go, which is going to pull me around. And it helps if you do that at the same exact time as the stall hits, like that. So that'll send the counterweight all the way around. Let go. And then just lightly tap the counterweight against your hand to reverse the direction and do a pullover. So it's double or nothing. Let go of the counterweight, tap it, pull over. Thanks for watching this episode of PopCast. Remember to go to patreon.com/DocPop to help sponsor the show, make more episodes possible. Also, you can go to drpopular.com and check out the yo-yos and comics and different things I have available there. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next month. Ear.